Good morning, everyone that is joining us live. Is it on? Haven't turned on. You don't have to start. Is this recorded?
Carla Morales, Chair of the Tucson Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. March will mark the anniversary of when life changed for us all. The unprecedented pandemic impacted every aspect of our lives. Despite the challenges faced, we at the Chamber are grateful for the opportunity to work with our partners and our members. We are committed to learning and adapting in order to succeed. We invite you to engage in a series of roundtables where we will discuss what is the shape of economic recovery. Through collaborative work, we will connect, we will learn, and we'll put into action insights and ideas. For more information, please visit our website at www.tucsonhispanicchamber.org or call us at 520-620-0005. Together, we will shape Tucson's economic recovery.
Good morning, everybody. See, Kelly? See? Thank you all so much for showing up this morning. It's so good to see you guys. Daniel, do you need something with the microphone? No. Okay. So good to see everybody this morning. It's been too long since we've gotten together, and it's nice to see everybody's faces below their eyes. But welcome to the beautiful property, new property, the DoubleTree by Hilton downtown, Tucson Convention Center. I practice saying that, so let's give them a round of applause, please. Today marks our fourth roundtable of the year. These events were created for the purpose of helping our community continue the conversation of economic growth on a local, state, and federal level. Today our focus is going to be on local economy and infrastructure and how the landscape has changed due to the pandemic and what the impact has been to our economy. And we're going to answer three main questions. What has been sustained, what has been transformed, and what will emerge even better. Thank you to our presenting sponsor, University of Arizona, especially Julie Katzel. Thank you so much. Your support of the Tucson Hispanic Chamber we're so grateful to have the partnership that we have with you, so thank you so much. I'm so pleased to welcome our live audience, our streaming audience, and more importantly, our in-person special guest. And we have an incredible panel here that I cannot wait for you guys to hear from. I'd like to introduce to welcome our board of directors in attendance today, so please stand if you're a board of the Hispanic Chamber. And I'd like to take a moment to introduce our board chair, Carla Morales. Madam Chair. If you'd like to come up, Carla, and say a few words, thank you.
I'm usually very shy and I don't do well on the microphone. You all know that, right? No, actually, thank you all so much for joining us this morning. As Rob mentioned, this is our fourth roundtable, and I am very proud to say that every single one of them has been sold out, and that is due to the amazing people that put these events together and the amount of people, the valuable and amazing people that come and participate in our panels, and of course our guests. So thank you all so much for being here this morning. I feel like coming to these events is like a family reunion. I think I know every single person in this room, and I'm so happy to see you, like Rob said, below your eyes. I'm so glad to be able to give you all hugs or handshakes or whatever the case may be. So thankful that you all are joining us this morning and looking forward for many more opportunities. Thank you all this morning.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Now, this is the first part of my fun job this morning, is introducing our keynote speaker for the morning. And I thank her so much for showing up, especially after a very long city council meeting last night. I don't know if you guys are like me, the nerds that enjoy watching city council meetings, but I am one of them. And it's going to be nice to, maybe we can get a shout out from the mayor and say, please press *6 to unmute, to unmute your microphone. I think that would be awesome. But without further ado, I welcome the Honorable Mayor Regina Romero.
Well, good morning, everyone. Muy buenos días. Love to see, like Carla said, coming to these events are like, you know, seeing family, especially now that we are out and about and can see each other in 4D. I'm really happy that you all have had very successful roundtables. And this particular roundtable today in terms of economic development and infrastructure, I'm kind of geeky. I really get excited about infrastructure, and I see infrastructure as much more than just gray concrete. Infrastructure for our community means so much. It means neighborhood improvements. It means access to mobility for pedestrians and cyclists and those that ride transit. It means so much. And it's a crucial part of economic development. So I'd like to thank the Tucson Hispanic Chamber for organizing these events and talking about such important issues in the community. And I also see that part of the panelists and the moderator are my fellow Biz Tucson women leading the region, which is awesome. Congratulations to those that made the list and made the cut. It's a pleasure to be here. So I do have some prepared remarks and want to make sure that I get it right, because I could go on and on and on. But I've always believed that infrastructure is one of the local government's most fundamental and important responsibilities. As we turn the corner on the COVID-19 pandemic, planning for our transportation future will play a critical role in the strength of our recovery. Our ability to leverage public infrastructure investment to foster economic growth will be a key component of a successful rebound. Investments in infrastructure were a key component of our recovery out of the Great Recession. The streetcar is a perfect example of this, spurring over $1 billion in private investments in our urban core. As a council member, I helped ensure the construction of the Cushing Street Bridge, which helped spur growth of the Mercado San Agustin district and the West Side. It is amazing the effects that one bridge can have. Here in Tucson, we are all working diligently to maintain existing infrastructure while supporting multimodal transportation options that serve everyone. Doubling the amount we are investing in local residential road repair is important to Mayor and Council, and we just approved that budget last night. Continuing important investments in Prop 101 that had funded critical improvements in our city's major corridors. Prop 407, ensuring strong and safe connectors for cyclists and pedestrians, and park improvements. Making our public transit more affordable and accessible, which will reduce traffic congestion, and air pollution. However, we must accept that reality that local resources will only go so far. To give one example, the total cost just to fix every failing residential street in Tucson is $800 million, which is about 150% of the city's general fund. Needless to say, we are going to need to think outside of the box as we make decisions that will set the course for our city's infrastructure future for the next generation. RTA Next ensuring that any future RTA plan incorporates City of Tucson residents' priorities: multimodal safety, transit, maintenance of existing infrastructure, and climate resiliency. We have moved Tucson, our 20-year mobility master plan, to serve as our North Star in this long-term planning efforts. This plan has undergone tremendous public engagement, which is an absolute necessity when embarking on such significant planning endeavors. At the federal level, we have a once-in-a-generation infrastructure package in the form of President Biden's American Jobs Plan. This package could fund transformative projects for our community, including a state-of-the-art regional bus transit line running 15 miles from the Tohono-Tadai Transit Center all the way down to Tucson International Airport. The route would run down key north-south corridors, including Oracle Road and South 6th Avenue, supplementing current transit-oriented development planning efforts already underway and spurring economic development. Construction of Drexel Bridge, which would support enhanced economic vitality, divert traffic from some of the most highly congested areas in our city, and reconnect communities long separated by the Santa Cruz River and Interstate 19 with vehicle, biking, and walking access. Installation of an EV-ready charging station grid to usher EV technology. The American Jobs Plan calls for the installation of 500,000 charging stations nationwide. Last night, as a matter of fact, we just approved an EV code for residential development, which is very, very exciting because it paves the way to additional EV technology and access to residents in the city of Tucson. I have personally invited my buddy, Secretary Pete Buttigieg, to come to Tucson to see all of the opportunities that we have here in the city of Tucson. We have big decisions to make, and as a result, we have so much to look forward to. I will continue to be a strong partner with the private sector to ensure that we are investing in infrastructure that will meet your needs and the needs of all Tucsonans. Thank you so much for having me today, and I look forward to the discussion. And congratulations to the Tucson Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, its board, and its new executive director for putting these conversations, such important conversations, together for us. Have a wonderful rest of your meeting.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, for everything you do for Tucson and all of the Tucsonans to make us a better place. So thank you again. Before we move on to the next part of the meeting, I want to take a moment to thank all that have helped put on this program, because it's not an easy thing to put. You know, it seems like it's more work to put on a smaller meeting than it is a larger one. So thank you to the community partners who are contributing to today's event through sharing of their expertise, services, and information. Thank you to the Chamber's corporate partners whose support and makes everything possible. Thank you to the media partners for their ongoing support. And lastly, I wanted to thank the Chamber team for doing what they do. Paul, Sophia, and all the video crew, thank you guys so much. Now the other fun part is introducing our esteemed panel. Now I don't see the last person on the panel, so we're going to do with three out of the four, which is great because the three are amazing people and they're going to be able to contribute. Am I missing something, Carla? Oh.
I would love for Mayor Romero to join the panel if she has the time.
Well, well, I don't want to put you on the spot. If you can join us, fantastic. If not, we completely understand.
Of course. I just put me in the corner, though.
No. So without any further delay, it's my pleasure to introduce our esteemed panel, as well as our moderator. Please welcome Barbara Coffey, the Director of Economic Initiatives for the City of Tucson. Magdalena Verdugo, CEO for the YWCA of Southern Arizona. And Amber Smith, the CEO of the Tucson Metro Chamber. And if the mayor would be so kind to join us back on the dais, we'd appreciate that. And the person that we've put in charge to hold this discussion with such a wonderful, wonderful group of people is none other than the Vice President of IBM System Lab Services, Colleen Sanchez.
How you guys all doing?
Good to meet you.
Oh, good to meet you too. So I wish we had cocktails instead of water, but that's okay. All right, good. Thank you, Carla. Anyways, I wanted to welcome all these wonderful ladies, and by the way, women power. Hello. It's exciting because I'm going to take a picture or a selfie to send my mom in Maricopa, so I can tell her it's like, hey, guess what? I've made it, Mom. Because you know that I've always been a feminazi, just privately. So please don't tell my husband that, but So ladies, I was wanting to just get from you, and we can pause, I'll start, is like one word, what does recovery mean to you in Tucson? And I'll just start. For me, it's doing it with authenticity.
Okay, you started with one word, but now I'm glad it's not one word. Doing what we do best. Opportunity.
I'm going to use two words. I'm going to say ditto and breathing.
I would say opportunity for innovation.
Beautiful, innovation, all wonderful words, even if it's multiple words, right? So Magdalena, when we were sitting at the table earlier, you had mentioned to me about the digital divide and the things that you had seen, especially with regards to the YWCA and also supporting local community. I wanted to get some of your insights with regards to what went on during the pandemic, what we learned, and where you're hopeful for the future.
Initially, let me just set the stage a little bit. I took on the CEO role of the YWCA in January 2020. I was in my first 90 days of my plan, getting to know the organization, just learning the programming and the excitement. I get really excited when I say the YWCA's mission of eliminating racism, empowering women. And so for me, that was exciting work when the pandemic hit. And so we had to shift, like many of us, very, very quickly. We had to pivot. And whether we liked technology or we were using technology, we were kind of pushed into using technology. And we had to then pivot all of our programming, in addition to all of our participants, to the use of technology. And that's where the real show of inequity showed up at our front door. When we realized that a lot of our participants, including our small businesses, our women and their families, lacked the resources, not only the access to Wi-Fi services, but the tools necessary to be able to even participate in classes or navigate the systems that were being put in place to access resources. So we converted ourselves into an information hub, really providing information to a lot of our small businesses and our participants on what was going on. Everything was coming so fast and so quickly, and things were changing that our community was in fear of obviously losing their jobs, which many of them did. Our women were highly impacted as a result of that. But as women, we have a panel of women. We play many, many roles. And one of the things that we saw too is that we were also became teachers at the time with our children. So now we have our children at home, and we, you know, if we don't have the access, how do we even access? Where do I go? How do I access the tools? And so we started giving out information to a lot of our participants in that respect, where they could go even to their own school district. Access to food was huge. A lot of our mothers, our families, our women feared they lost their jobs. They were that ones highly impacted. And so their biggest fear was, how am I going to feed my children? And so we had to make access to food as well. And so we were just a conduit at the YWCA of resources, because what we did it in partnership and collaboration. And so we're very thankful for our partnership with the City of Tucson to be able to administer to small businesses grants and getting resources right into the hands of small businesses and quickly, and doing it very, very quickly. But we also realized that our small businesses were hit hard. Minority businesses, I think I read that 78% of minority businesses feared that they were going to close their doors. And so, and they didn't have the small businesses, especially the food, there was no I think back at the economy and I say, it was really, the pandemic was really good for some big businesses, but it was very detrimental for our small businesses economically here in Tucson, because they didn't have drive-throughs. They operate in very small spaces, so social distancing became a challenge. They didn't have websites to take orders and so forth. So we had to change what we were providing in the sense of support to small businesses and really getting things like websites up, getting them to use and take orders online. They pivoted. They pivoted to either becoming catering companies or services, delivery and so forth. So yeah, that's a lot. But that was just the the scary part of it all was just merely information. What I think is going forward is working really closely, at least with our small businesses, in preparing them so that if there is ever a crisis again, that they are in a better place. I mean, I can dive into what we saw and what we learned from them, but at the end of the day, I hope that they are in a better place now going forward to be able to manage a crisis.
Thank you for the fundamentals. I'll just tell you personally, your closet at the YWCA helped me, a college student at the time, actually interview and dress appropriately. And by the way, I'm not good at it still. So that all of everyone. So what's great is fundamentals to help out people, yes, to enable pivoting quickly based on all full access and partnering with the City of Tucson. Yes. That's beautiful. So thank you for your share. You have some comments, Amber?
I do. I want to expand a little bit on the digital divide. It also highlighted that divide with healthcare. Hey, and to me, I think that was what was most shocking, is I know that there was telemedicine that was being experimented in different communities, but holy cow, all of a sudden, people don't have access to healthcare, and it's absolutely terrifying as individuals that can't feed their children, and women were absolutely hit extremely hard during the pandemic for a variety of reasons. But now it's created opportunity. Is now, because it's highlighted how important broadband is to access to all of these services, those investments being made. City of Tucson, Mayor Romero led the effort using CARES dollars to be able to get that access further into the community. And now we're seeing that from our state and the federal government. So again, I think that that's at least a benefit that's coming out of it, because it's highlighted the need for it and accelerated that funding in the ways that we really can use it as a community.
So, Mayor Romero, you said something earlier about the word innovation. So what are you thinking on how we could pivot for the benefit of our Tucson community?
Well, all the people here on the panel, we had to innovate. We had to innovate with this pandemic. I guess that's the silver lining that I see of we've learned how to do things differently. And I mean, I remember Amber working with my office and figuring out, like, how are we going to make sure that we get funds to small businesses and do it fast? And by the way, you know, us wanting to create a resiliency fund, I mean, Amber spent tons of time saying, oh, these colors and this, you know, this is what we're going to do, or this is what we're really appreciate all of the work and innovative ideas and concepts that came about because of the pandemic. And so for us, the city of Tucson, what we were, you know, you came in January, I came in December as the new mayor of Tucson. And so we were into our, 90 days as well, 120 days, and this pandemic hit. And it was because of innovation that we were able to send people home and have all of the services that the city of Tucson provides, most of them provided by at people's homes. And so I was having to deal with a literal emergency and having my kids at home, and I was the lunch lady and the mayor at the same time. And so what I mean with innovation is that we've learned through this pain that we can do things differently, that it is absolutely necessary for local governments and governments at every level to partner with our private partners and with our nonprofits that played such a big role for the city of Tucson. For example, Magdalena underplays the importance of what the Y did for the small businesses in our community. And I remember calling her and saying, Magdalena, can we give you $5 million and can you just put it out in the hands of small businesses? And she said, sure. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we can do it. And so those partnerships that developed through the pandemic, giving our nonprofits the funds to be able to distribute quickly because they know the community. They know the small businesses. They've worked with them. We did the same thing with the Women's Foundation. We, called the executive director and said, we need money in the hands of workers and their families to pay rent, to buy food, to whatever they need. And so that innovative and flexible partnerships that we developed have to continue. And for our workforce, we now know that we can provide the services for the residents of the city of Tucson day in, day out. There are frontline workers that cannot do their work from home. But in terms of attracting and retaining talent, the future generation of public servants, we now know that we can provide a much more flexible work environment so that they can be, they can do their cafeteria lady stuff and still doing work for the residents of the city of Tucson. So I think there's important partnerships we need to continue developing and thinking outside of the box when it comes to funding our nonprofits and our small businesses.
And what I loved about something you highlighted, trust. Being able to pick up the phone, we've got to move fast, and what can you do with $5 million? I'd love a call like that. I could come up with a lot. So taking a step back, Barbara, so what are you thinking with regards to economic development and how you see it playing out as we recover?
Well, you heard my colleagues, so Magdalena, Amber, the mayor, have mentioned the challenge of access during the pandemic and reaching people that needed us most and needed the resources most. And so we spent some time on that. We spent some time, and the mayor and council pushed us and encouraged us to how do we reach people. So those small businesses that you heard about that are the lifeblood of our community that create the most jobs in this country, we needed to make sure they had those resources. And so the access, the digital access, and then creating economic development programs around that. Well, how do we help those folks that didn't have a website to do business and to take orders and to now create that opportunity for consumers. So we partnered with other teams like My Hound. We created a marketing platform for them to get some exposure, to start creating an email list, to do some of these things. And we had to go far and wide, do English and Spanish radio and newspaper. And so we learned a lot about that. I would say that our team has grown tremendously in that. But then I would say on the opportunity side, the fact that you mentioned in your opening remarks, Mayor, about the infrastructure commitment that you have, that's the opportunity to move further. We were lucky during the pandemic that our larger industries were able to switch gears pretty quickly. Many of them were still investing and growing. They might have been in the office in a different way, but they were still working hard and making investments. We saw construction continue. We saw those investments. And so with that, I think moving forward, the opportunity now is to take advantage of moving some of these programs forward and the dollars that the federal government will invest in our communities, that if we can then improve upon and enhance our infrastructure, enhance the technology, enhance broadband, then we're going to be more plug and play, more ready to go to receive those investments on the large industry side, which helps create those higher wage industry jobs, those higher wage job opportunities for the members of our community that now need it so much. So I think that it's a strong outlook, and I think that we're poised for great opportunities.
I wanted to add something because talking about innovation, I've been on the Tucson City Council for 12 years before I became mayor, and when I came in, another tragedy struck, which was the Great Recession. And I looked around, and at that time, we did not have an Office of Economic Initiatives. We didn't have any incentives on the table to use it for our toolbox. And we started working day in, day out to explore what we needed to do as a city in terms of economic development so that we can create high-wage, long-term jobs and improve the quality of life of Tucsonans, because that's how I see economic development. So at that time, we created our primary jobs incentive. We created a new economic initiatives office. We created more than 21 tools to attract and retain high-wage, long-term jobs in the city of Tucson. In this particular emergency, we looked around, and I had already been talking about the idea of small business navigators and creating much more opportunity for small businesses, small locally owned businesses. What this pandemic made us do was create it fast. And so we just approved the budget last night, and we're creating 5 small business navigator positions for the city of Tucson, because we know that we have a really good program and a very good leader in economic initiatives to help us attract and retain and help grow the bigger companies in the city of Tucson. But we had that gap of providing services for small businesses in our community. And so now we're going to institutionalize the small business navigators in the city of Tucson to help us make sure that legacy businesses are still with us 30, 50 years from now. And so I just wanted to add that because we've come so far in the city of Tucson in terms of economic development. Now we have to refine our strategic plan, in which, by the way, we're funding our comprehensive economic development strategy so that we are ready for much more federal grants for economic development opportunities in the city of Tucson. We see, self-driving trucks. What's the company? Too Simple.
Too Simple. Yep.
Too Simple in Tucson. How can I forget? Too Simple in Tucson. We have an
Because
edge.
it's too simple.
Too simple. We have an edge to be able to. We already have the infrastructure that Too Simple is creating here in Tucson. We can expand that self-driving electric vehicle ecosystem that we can continue attracting to the city of Tucson. And one more thing, our geography in the city of Tucson, and some of you have heard me say this before, but I don't get tired of saying it. We are blessed in terms of our geography because we welcome the businesses and tourists from Mexico. We're 40 minutes away from our border. We are connected to Mexico by interstate and by train and by air. And I-10 and I-19 serve in terms of geography as businesses coming from Mexico to be able to deliver their goods or services through I-10 to the east and I-10 to the west. And so we, geographically speaking, we are blessed, and we should take advantage of our position in terms of working with Mexican companies.
Wonderful. So Barbara, Better Together?
She's the top economic developer of the city, so I'm going to help her, yes, absolutely do all these things, and we're just going to tell our story, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we spend our time doing. As long as we have the tools that she mentioned, if we have the investment in infrastructure, we have great relationships with our companies, then we need to talk about that. And I think that's all of us in the room, right? The more we tell the story about Tucson as the place for business, the better we'll be.
And be intentful. 5 focus areas so we can grow. That's wonderful. So we're on the Cradle to Career together. And she sent me this beautiful, so Amber sent me a beautiful note, I would say last year, with regards to some ideas, like I think you said, forgive me for this, throwing spaghetti on the wall. I love that, because I'm like, oh, I eat like that. So at least I'm open to like thinking like that. So I wanted to just talk to you about Tucson, the Chamber, because you have some ideas of programs in order to influence what we could do better together. So you mind talking about that a bit?
Sure. So I think it's about creating the ecosystem. And all of our different comments here really plays into that. So the Chamber's job is to be your connector. We air traffic control to those resources. So it'd be our job to know those business navigators and make sure that our small businesses, we represent 700 small businesses, to make sure that they know about those resources from YWCA, from the city, county, and et cetera. So that is our main goal, is to be that connector and to be the best at that, to know what is going on. But workforce development, that right there, we talk about Cradle to Career, which is really working on that 3rd grade reading, 8th grade math, but it's that P through 20, you can almost say, and recognizing those critical investments. So we have partnered with United Way, we've partnered with the city as well, and the county, emphasizing all of the aspects of workforce development. And one of those difficulties highlighted through COVID-19 is the lack of childcare. And not just, so we now know this is a workforce issue. Aside from the fact that quality early childcare development is a key to getting people out of poverty, it is a today workforce issue as well, as our workers are at home and don't have anyone to care for their children. The number of women that left the workforce due to childcare issues is startling. So that is one program, is being able to invest in that public-private sector investment to really recognize that this is not a dedicated social issue. This is an economic issue that does have a socioeconomic impact. But then looking at even our current working adults, we released our workforce blueprint, the Chamber did. And again, it's about the ecosystem. And it is a collaboration of partners. Again, Barbara sat on it, the county sat on it, and we had many private sector individuals. Tech Council was on it. And it was really about getting those important players in the room to say, what are the most 5 impactful things that we can do as a community? Again, we air traffic control. It's not that the chambers need to set up programs, but we need to make sure that these programs are getting set up to address these different issues. Whether that's creating career pathways, recognizing businesses for best practices and offering great internships, externships, tuition reimbursement programs. It's across the board of opportunity, because again, when I say we need to do what we do best, we are a great community. Now, when we haven't talked about like the environmental part, which is actually where I thought you were going about the geography, but wide open spaces, now companies are looking for that. They know the benefit of that. But we have to have the talent to be able to provide that. And we talked about broadband. We have, help me out, Zach, Tucson, not Startup Tucson, Remote Tucson. The Remote Tucson program, to where we're trying to recruit workers here that can work remotely. And it's creating that environment that we can sell, to bring that talent to fill positions at IBM and all other companies, because those high-paying wage jobs, again, will help lift people out of poverty as well as we continue to invest in the talent through workforce development.
Thank you for those comments.
I just want to add, I think I echo Amber. There are two factors that help our community, and I'm in the business of women, that help our women into self-sufficiency. One, quality childcare. And I think that we've been very innovative recently. We passed some good programming that hopefully will make that accessible to our women from marginalized communities. The second one is livable wage. Livable wage is $17.51. I'm not sure where the 1 cent came out of but $17.51. Multiply that for a full-time salary, and even at that rate, you're like, how can someone live, right? But we are launching at the YW, talk about innovative and being creative, this fall, the Women's Economic Advancement Center. And it's going to be focused on workforce and how do we meet our women where they are right now and get them on a pathway to a sustainable career here. So Amber, I need to talk to you. But yeah, those are the two focuses, and I think that it just heightened that. I think the pandemic heightened that for many of us, but it created opportunities for moving forward.
Very good. I was going to ask you, Magdalena, what do you see for the future for YWCA? You do amazing things, no doubt, but what do you see as like those next set of programs to enable capability for women, for underrepresented minorities, etc.?
I just shared the Women's Economic Advancement Center, which will focus on workforce development, training, and so forth for our women. We hope, if it works out, we'll be expanding our Women's Business Center. The YWCA has a campus, House of Neighborly Services, in the city of South Tucson. We hope to, in the near future, actually expand and open our doors and provide services there for our community. There's a lot of small businesses in that area that need the support, and we want to be where our community is needed. And so we'll be expanding those resources. Also, really expanding our programming around wellness. One of the things that we, as women, again, I think it brought awareness last year. Our mental wellness is very, very important. Many of us shied away from even acknowledging that, we needed it. We just do, as individuals, we do what we need to do to keep our families safe, right? And a lot of women carried a lot of that on their shoulders this past year. We became everything. We were information gatherers, sharers. We checked in on each other. Yes, lunch ladies. IT. Yes, IT. I mean, I yell for IT support, but yet I had to figure it out, right, with my son. But I think that the acknowledgement of providing and showing our women ways that they can take care of themselves, and recognizing that if we take care of ourselves, we are better in taking care of our families. And so introducing new programming at what that could possibly look like at any level. I think sometimes we think of wellness and we think, when we think of eating healthy, we think, cuesta mucho comer bien. You know, it's expensive. But really getting creative and showing our small businesses. We partnered with Local First Arizona. We talking about environment. You know, we're taking about 12 small businesses through the Green Business Program. So how do you come back in a sustainable, right? Way in taking care of our environment in our community.
Wonderful. So I would love to speak with all of you all day long. Sorry, everyone. But I do have to come to a close. I just think, like, let's take a step back. What do you see as where we should focus in the near future to enable this great stuff together? And be optimistic, because I love the glass is full. That's the reason mine's full. So thank you.
My middle name is Collaboration. It's really a Reyes because I'm Venezuelan, but Collaboration. And I wholeheartedly believe workforce development is the key to lifting people out of poverty. It's in our top 3 priorities, and it's these partnerships, the fact that we are aligned with that vision. It can bring talent here today, which helps us for tomorrow, and then investing in today in our children and future helps us for tomorrow. So I think that should be the number one place that we should collaborate on, and all of us put our best foot forward and partner more and build this ecosystem.
So you got it. I mean, workforce is what helps us recruit companies, what helps companies grow. When they have the talent here, when they have the skills here, they can make a quick decision to choose Tucson. And so that's something we need to talk about. We need to work on it, and then we need to talk about it, right? We need to bring the spotlight on those conversations, spotlight the work of our partners, work together to, again, tell that story. I think it's a changing environment. I think, we continue to live in a world where people choose where they want to live and then go to work. And now they can do it ever more so. We're more mobile, we're more remote than ever before. Companies are more willing to let their people make those choices. And so we need to be ready to receive that. And putting our best face on as a community is the way to do that, and to welcome people, to really send the invitation out, which is why the Remote Tucson opportunity was such a fun one, because you have to invite people, right? If you don't invite them to dinner, they don't show up. You got to invite. So my whole point is we can all do more of that. And then when they're here, we have these resources. We have a network that's in place. We have the ability to help each other, to connect people to those resources. And so I think that's what we'll continue to do.
I mentioned earlier that this crisis pushed us all into technology, and we should have probably already been there, but we got the little kick that forced us to get there. But another thing that it did, it really brought us together as a community in collaboration. So partnership collaborations are really, really important. And I think going forward, that's what we need to continue to do, is collaborate, talk, tell our story, share our story, share our fears, so together we can have a plan moving forward. So I'm looking forward to continuing those relationships and collaboration, and being innovative and creating workforce opportunities for our community that are sustainable going forward.
Absolutely. Everything that has been said, workforce development, absolutely important, collaboration, absolutely important. As a mayor of the city of Tucson, I've learned throughout this time of emergency and trauma, really, worldwide trauma and community trauma of what we just went through. I am hopeful. I'm very, very hopeful that we have an opportunity here in Tucson, our residents in our region, to move forward in a progressive, transformative, and meaningful direction for our residents, not just City of Tucson residents, but our region, our people. And so I am hopeful that in terms of infrastructure and investing in infrastructure, we do have the opportunity of a generation, if the American Jobs Plan passes Congress, to be able to invest in a very meaningful way in our infrastructure that will set us up for the next 30, 40 years. And so the city of Tucson has received American Rescue Plan dollars, and we have an opportunity with those dollars to support all of the work that is being done by these organizations. And Magdalena mentioned about being able to earn living wages. The mayor and council changed our minimum wage policy to pay our own workers a minimum of $15 an hour, and then serve all of those employees with compression. Come to find out later, Pima County changed their policy to pay a $15 minimum wage for their Pima County workers. That move alone impacted more than 4,500 employees of both the county and the city. That is money in the pockets of not just the employee, but their family. And that is money circulating in our economy. And so one other thing that was mentioned by Amber is the ability to have access to reliable daycare or preschool. We invested in that, and I must commend my colleagues on the Board of Supervisors. They invested $10 million for this effort. The city of Tucson invested $1 million. And we are going to continue partnering in that effort because that will help a lot of working families, a lot of working women. And then the third piece that I wanted to make sure that I talked about today, besides being able to have food and childcare and earn a living wage that could help pay for your needs, one of the most stabilizing issues that individuals and families should have, because it stabilizes their economy as a family, is affordable housing, is the opportunity to have a stable roof over your head. And that for children is incredibly stabilizing and good even for their educational performance. And so one of the issues that we're going to be investing in as a city of Tucson is in providing safe opportunities for affordability, for different ranges in our community, because it's so stabilizing, it's good for the economy, it's good for families, it's good for children to have an opportunity to have affordable, good quality housing for families. So we're looking for meaningful, transformative investments, and we are absolutely ready for continued partnership.
Wonderful. Thank you, ladies, for this discussion. By the way, I have to celebrate ladies, I know. So thank you. And just to let you know, you all have increased my quality of life just based on the discussion. So I took a note and I put you in my AI bot that will remind me that we should have drinks at some point in the near future. All right. Thank you very much.
We're opening up now for QA session.
Oh, okay, great. So there's going to be Q&A, so let it rock.
I'm actually going to excuse me, I'm going to borrow your mic. So if anybody has questions from the audience, feel free to just stand up and ask your question. Anyone? Perfect.
Just a quick question about financial literacy in terms of how important, and what did you think about that?
Actually, I'm glad you mentioned that. I have so many things that I would love to share today of what we're doing, but we, financial wellness is very, very important. Trauma-informed financial wellness is even more critical, at least for us at the YWCA. So actually, we'll be launching a financial wellness program this fall as well. We're in the process of developing and working with the University of Arizona, for example, in putting that together. That is very, very important at many levels. First, I always say at the entry level, my vision would be to actually launch a girls' financial wellness, because we need to start speaking financial wellness to our young women to begin with. And then we have our women who are, for whatever reason, right, maybe leaving a relationship or starting on their own and so forth, especially survivors of domestic violence. Sometimes they've been kept in the dark in reference to that. And so helping them navigate as well and prepare themselves so that they have, that's part of self-sufficiency, knowing how to manage not your money, but know how, you know, how to best also invest it, because we don't think of those things as well. And actually for the rest of us as professional or career women, also how to, you know, we never think of, we would like to retire eventually, right? And so financial wellness comes, it's just, and we call it financial wellness versus literacy only because they know what financial literacy is. A lot of our, you know, but how do you, wellness is just, you know, it's just doing it right, you know, doing it.
And I want to address it from the small business perspective. During COVID, it really highlighted that a lot of these small businesses don't have that financial literacy or wellness. And all of a sudden they were startled. They couldn't read their balance sheets. They didn't even know that that existed. So it was an opportunity for us, again, as the connector, to connect them to those services like SBA and SBDC. So now all these businesses know that those opportunities are available. And again, more resources we put towards those type of programs will also help that.
I want to echo that. I think one of the things that we saw initially with our small businesses, we should have charged more. No, just kidding. Because we are technical assistance in helping our small businesses navigate through the grant application, brought to reality those issues. Yeah. That a lot of our small businesses, they're family-owned businesses, and so they operate, not having the resources or the tools necessary to access a PPP or an EIDL was, so we did we had to handhold a lot of our small businesses and getting them to the place where not only could they create these resources, but understand them and know how to read them, and building those relationships with financial institutions so that they were in a better place going forward.
Very good. I'm going to have one comment. So with regards to building your financial bona fides, so IBM partners with the University of Arizona with the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, and they do two things. They talk about finances 101 and also technology 101. The lesson learned I had through this pandemic is we should have figured out how to be more intentful so we touched or enabled more people at scale. Because then maybe we need to think about, okay, Metro Tucson, surrounding area like Pima, like what could we do to teach the many? And I think even though we did a good program with the few, we could have basically enabled so many more. So shame on us, and we see that we have to improve for the future.
Thank you so much, ladies. I'm actually going to pivot just a little bit because you've all mentioned the word innovation. You've all mentioned the word technology. My question to you all is, how has cybersecurity and IT awareness been part of your organizations, and how have you been creating an awareness and education for your organizations, and also following with YWCA, how did you transfer that on to your members and to the people that you served?
So on our blueprint, one of our 5 strategies is dealing exactly called Move It Up, meaning IT, because cybersecurity, the company line now is every company is an IT company because the demand is so high. But how we, pre-COVID, how we were working on that was, and I think you were even leading to this on the spaghetti at the wall as I was going through it, is we identified cybersecurity as, again, a high demand position. And we partnered with Cisco early on to offer, I believe it was 50 scholarships to transitioning military members to be able to get certified in cybersecurity because it was so important. But as part of that program, we were using technology to best connect talent to employers and identifying that pipeline and those gaps as well in what those skill sets are. And so we were working on this a few years ago because of the innovative way to be able to do the military occupational code translation, since we have over 100 transitioning militaries in our military members, not militaries, members transitioning every single month. And we need talent here. Let's pool that talent and better connect them to our local employers. But again, we have to, as part of those 5 strategies on Move It Up, Tech Council, be able to plug their work, have a statewide initiative to that end. Let's scale it up for being able to do that in Tucson to maximize that extremely high demand. What's one of the top high demand, I think, positions, cybersecurity in the country, yeah. So, and we have the opportunity with our transitioning military members and with our large corporations that we have right here to be able to do that.
Well, it's interesting. We began to think about it. We've been doing small business webinars. We were doing them weekly during the last year, during the pandemic, and we've switched to monthly. But we've been talking about topics for small business, and cybersecurity comes up. And so that's on our radar. We grappled with that struggled with the idea, were businesses ready to talk about that? I think they are now. I mean, first we were dealing with the very basic issues of how do you get funding to keep your doors open and stay alive. And I think now we can focus on that. I know the city has made a great investment in IT over the last year so that we can remain solvent and do what we do. And the other piece on the workforce side was how much fun we had with programs like SheTech to bring awareness to our young people that these are the jobs of the future. So also from that perspective, any kind of computer occupations will be an opportunity for our young people, and so especially our young women. We had fun with seminars and workshops that you all helped us with. Many of our private sector companies and other public sector agencies put on for our young high school girls, so that's great.
And I just wanted to include in that the city of Tucson, as we all know, we all had to move from office to home. And so we had to invest, thank goodness for the CARES Act funds that came to help not just our small businesses, nonprofits, workers and families, but it helped the city of Tucson be able to transition from office work to home-based work, to be able to continue providing millions of dollars. I think, yes, last night I heard it, $11 million we spent on providing secure laptops to our workers so that they can work from home. The other thing that we are doing with American Rescue Plan dollars is have a super cyber secure system within the city of Tucson. The city of Tucson provides our water. And we have seen attacks to our infrastructure, right? We've seen attacks to our pipelines, gas pipelines, to our food pipelines. We need to make sure as the city of Tucson that we are absolutely secure so we can continue providing the necessary services that our residents deserve. So we are going to continue not just on the IT that we invested in and the cybersecurity programs that we purchased, but we are going to continue investing in cybersecurity for the city of Tucson for the services that we provide to protect those services.
And I apologize for giving a PSA. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when with regards to cyber resiliency. So when you pick up your device and you see any communication and goes to your device, don't click on that link. Come on, really? Because you have no idea if they're phishing to understand what's going on. And so much of your device saves passwords, saves fundamental components about you, and opens up doors in which hackers like me in the past promised I was an ethical hacker. Sandia National Labs put me in through some really interesting stuff. But what is interesting and important for all of you to know, it is a question of when. And you've got to teach everyone that, friends, family, children, that you can't trust those links. As much as I love trust, I don't trust like these random emails from these organizations. I can't even confirm their logo. Oh, Citibank, is the spelling wrong? Interesting. So act with paranoia on your devices. Forgive me for saying that, but it's important that you all do.
No,
Sorry
don't,
for the PSA.
don't apologize. I think that's perfect, and I agree. And just full disclosure, it was not an intentional plug for the Arizona Technology Council. I'm very fortunate to have both my relationships with literally every single person on this table with the Tech Council, but also with the Tucson Hispanic Chamber. So thank you for that plug. And thank you for your comments because I think that is a very prevalent and very important conversation to have as employees, as organizations, and as community members. It is important to approach cybersecurity, like you said, very cautiously. So thank you for saying that. Zach, you had a question, and I'll go back there next.
Yeah, so during the pandemic, Arizona's gotten a lot of good coverage for some things. Zoom made a big move to the Phoenix area. Intel made a big kind of once-in-a-generation investment. The Taiwanese semiconductor manufacturing company not only moved in, but once they got to Arizona, they said, we're actually going to expand. Lucid grew in Casa Grande. It's been a little quiet on the Tucson front, and I wondered if there was a skinny that we could have today on anything that's kind of on the horizon. I say that kind of jokingly. I say that jokingly, but
NDAs, remind everybody of NDAs.
What's on the horizon, and/or is there a sector that we're really good at that has some things kind of coming down the pipe?
So forgive me, I'm just sorry the pause for the live stream. Hey, I'm taking care of you virtual folks out there. So Zach asked a question about what's on the horizon with these wonderful panelists so that we get an understanding of what could come for the benefit of Metro Tucson.
Exactly. So when you ask the question about these large industry recruitments that you mentioned have happened in Arizona, I would say definitely, and we work with our partners at the state, at the region, in the community. So what we're seeing are a lot of similar type of projects that you mentioned. So anything with, I'm going to say electric vehicle manufacturing has been very prominent in terms of the number of prospects that are showing up in the state. The leads that we're receiving from the state indicate that. So there are actually a handful of those. That's unusual to say. I mean, usually there's one a year or maybe every 2 years like that. There are about 5 right now in that space: electric vehicle, electric battery. So I would say that is not a surprise. Again, the mayor mentioned about our community being ready and that Tucson is going to be ready. That's the wave of the future. Other high-tech industries are certainly looking at us. We're busy. We have a full day today. We have a lot of protocol in place that, and I want you to know when site selection activity occurs, it's delicate, right? And we're up against not only other communities in Arizona, but we're against other states. And it's typically a lot of our western region, so and including Texas. So if you think about companies that are trying to get out of California, where costs are high, Arizona and states like Nevada are logical prospects. We're lower cost of doing business by almost 30% across the board. So companies that are familiar with California or already have markets and supply chain in California as well as customers, they find it easy to do business here because we're close by. We're almost in the backyard. We're a short flight away from protecting that investment and doing business. So we're a logical choice. With the headlines coming out of Texas these days, it's even better for us. So they're getting a little, some backlash on things related to power and utilities and things like that. That works in our favor. So I think that we just have to be ready to welcome those prospects and show them the best opportunities, and then be a regional play when it's time for them to make the decision. But I think that's what you're going to see.
Right, and we mentioned it earlier, Too Simple came to Tucson, and just in the last year, even through the pandemic, the city of Tucson gave them a primary jobs incentive because they're growing to triple their size, can I say?
That's pretty close.
Yeah, triple their size. So Too Simple not just came to Tucson, and we should celebrate it. You know, it's a good thing for us. It's a really wonderful thing for us to celebrate autonomous vehicles and electric vehicle manufacturing here in the city of Tucson will grow. But Too Simple has invested millions and millions of dollars, will continue investing. They're growing triple their size, and so they're doubling down on the city of Tucson. And, we also attracted expansion of Amazon here in the city of Tucson without any incentives. They just decided to come in and continue building and growing their infrastructure here in the city of Tucson. But lots of prospects and looking for the future Too Simples to continue coming to the city of Tucson.
Thank you, Zach, for that question. I'm going to go back there, and then I'll go to you, Laura. Somebody back there had a question. Actually, do you mind? I would love for you to come up here so that the people online are able to hear your question. This is your 5 minutes of fame right here.
All right. Hey, how's it going? My name is Juan JD. I appreciate you stepping out of your busy day and coming out here to present and talk to us. So my question is, what are your plans or initiatives in regards to our weak labor force for skilled and unskilled labor here in Tucson? I just wanted to know what we're doing about that. Thanks.
Well, we're planning to partner with Tucson Metro Chamber, that's for sure. I worked, when I first started my professional career, I worked with Pima County with youth employment programs. And the city of Tucson is in charge of our federal housing responsibilities. Pima County is in charge of workforce development. So they are our main agency to provide workforce and economic development for our region. And so in my past life, I used to put youth to work. And then I started a program within Pima County that trained and developed adults and did a adult work employment program. Pima County is an excellent recipient and strategic partner in terms of workforce development. And so we plan to continue working with Pima County and with the American Rescue Fund dollars that the city of Tucson is receiving. Pima County is receiving $200 million. They have the responsibility to provide public health, but they also have the responsibility to provide workforce training. And so they run the Workforce Investment Board. I know a lot of you here have been part of that planning organization with Pima County. The city of Tucson has a chair in that organization. And just last night, we had a conversation about American Rescue Plan dollars and how we want to spend them in transformative investments for the future of the city. We are planning to commit millions of dollars. I think it's $3.5 million for youth workforce development and $3.5 million for adult workforce development. So in that alone, I think we can make a huge dent along with a partnership that we want to continue development with Pima County. I know that they're investing millions of dollars in workforce development as well. So we have a bright future and an opportunity for incredible investment in our workforce.
So I can speak from an IBM perspective. We almost have 1,000 employees, engineers and scientists at associate degree level as well as bachelor's. Based on your cyber resiliency question, IBM recently established an apprenticeship program for cybersecurity in partnership with Pima Community College, because we want basically cybersecurity specialists who can write code or enable some fundamental technology skills in order to fight the fight with regards to cybersecurity. And so I just wanted to make you aware of that per your question, because just like Mayor Romero said, the sky's the limit. And I think we're really just growing on our capabilities. And that is from a private company and what we think we can do locally to help improve some of the skill set as well.
Thank you, ladies. Laura, you had a question. You want to come up?
Fantastic. Ladies, thank you so much for all of the insights that you've shared today. My name is Laura Oldacre. I own Academy for Caregiving Excellence. We provide skill training for healthcare workers, and we actually work with over 120 employers in the healthcare industry, mainly individuals who serve the aging community, and we are in a crisis of talent shortages. I really appreciate all of the work that you've all done to bring new talent and to bring new companies to Arizona and to the city of Tucson. Where we have a gap is where all of these talented individuals are coming to the city and they don't have places to put their parents, their aging parents, or they can't go to the hospital because they're so short-staffed. So do you have any thoughts on how to help these employers, any programs that you have in the works? Because some of them, they call me desperate. They're like, do you have any students that you can send me? Some of them are working 4 or 5 overnights, the owners, and they're exhausted, and that's not even mentioning the quality care that they're providing when they're exhausted. Any thoughts on that, ladies?
So we know, it's gotta be me. I guess so. No one wants to hear me. So we know that healthcare and construction are both extremely high demand need jobs today and less concerned about tomorrow. And talking about like the low and high skill set for construction, we're trying to get really clever to connect to the kids using TikTok and other things to talk about construction is actually a great area to go into. For healthcare, we have Healthcare Roundtable, and I'd have to ask my VP how many people are involved. I think about 50 different healthcare companies, and they're talking about today's issues. And we are directly working with Pima Community College to standardize those job descriptions to make sure the college is producing exactly what those employers need, for one. And then we are recognizing, working with those major employers like IBM that have those internships and externships as well available, and putting people into them where it has that pathway within it. El Rio Health is a great example of a company doing that. And so those 50 healthcare workers, I mean, they are getting in a room monthly to say, how do we access talent? And we are working so much with our college and the university, knowing it's high demand. And I wish there was an overnight solution, but right now, we're just trying to build a collaborative model to get some best practices that, companies like Banner, like huge companies, to get those best practices and be able to share them and standardize them.
Thank you so much for that. I've just been told by the boss that we're out of time. So thank you all so very much for your participation in the panel. Thank you all so much. I'll hand it over to Rob. Actually, before I hand it over, I did not do Rob right when I came up to the board, because I did not express to you all how incredibly happy I am that the board and I were lucky enough to find Rob in our path and welcoming him to the Tucson Hispanic Chamber. We feel very fortunate. He is not only a phenomenal community leader, he's an innovator, and we feel very fortunate to have you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Carla. Colleen, thank you so much for being the moderator. Please, big round of applause for Colleen. And I have to tell you, as the father of a 12-year-old daughter, it warmed my heart to see such incredibly strong, powerful, intelligent, talented women up here. This is the example of what leadership should look like. I'm going to close this event by just saying a few things. We're going to continue to host these roundtables, and we hope that you guys got a lot out of them. Thank you again so much, panel, for your incredible insights and your knowledge and sharing that with us. Thank you so much. We're going to continue these to help push the conversation forward and in order to push Tucson forward. If you'd like to learn more about the roundtable discussions that we have or the events, please contact Sophia Davis. Sophia, if you don't mind raising your hand and just waving so you guys know who she is. Please contact her at the Hispanic Chamber. And more so, not just creating these events here, but it's also providing resources to the people that most need it, especially in commerce, and help pushing the conversation forward, help pushing conversations and commerce and community forward in Tucson. That's what we're all about. We have fantastic programs like Base Plus, MicroVenture Launchpad, Vibe and Certified, and with key partnerships like this, there's no limit to what we can do. Thank you again to University of Arizona and Julie Katzel for being the sponsors today. Don't forget to save the date for July 21st for our next roundtable discussion, where the focus will be trade and border infrastructure. So that's going to be a good one. More details on that later, but thank you again so much for showing up today. Thank you again, panel, and Colleen for your great moderation, and we appreciate it all. Thank you so much.
Yeah, up here.
Oh, that's better. Congratulations, really enjoyed it.
I know.
Fabulous.